Well, I'm out here banging around and shopping. Something just ain't right. Something don't feel right, you know, so got it kind of pinned down. I need to go put my hoe haws on. Then all will be right with the world. Okay, I'm gonna show you a couple of cool little things. Look here. Isn't that awesome? My little running lights to go on the, you see that going on the cowl right there? Isn't that cool? And here's a real cool thing. It's expensive if you're trying to locate one. And this one is for this car. It fits it. It screws on that radiator, which is awesome. And another thing that I have is real handy is a title. Now you can get these rigs licensed without a title. If you want to build a rat rod, like Kerwood took his down State Patrol, and you take them all your receipts. They just want to know nothing's stolen, and take receipts for your parts and all that. Then they'll stamp a number on the frame. It's not a safety inspection. We don't have that here. I think they do in King County over in Seattle. I think the liberals got that, but we don't. Anyway, they stamp a number on your frame, and then that number matches your title, and that way you can go and buy your tabs and drive down the road. But a title is just such a handy thing to have. Like this one now, since I've got it, I'll just go down to the Department of Licensing and have it transferred to my name, and I'll buy the tabs for it, or I'll buy a collector plate for it. Collector license plate, and then it's good. You don't ever have to buy tabs. So that brings me to an issue. I've been asked this question many, many times. I've answered it many, many times, but I'm going to answer it one more time because it was asked of me one more time today. Ken, how can you afford insurance on all these rigs? What have I got? 11, 12 rigs running around here? I don't know. I lost count. But it's called a broad form, and it's not expensive. A couple $100, $160, I don't know. I'd have to look it up, but every 6 months you pay a little bit for it. And then I can drive any of these rigs and I'm insured when I go down the road. Now mind you, it's just liability, but most of my old rigs, I'd fix them myself. They're not worth a whole lot. Now the Impala, I have full coverage on it. My Dodge truck that I used today to haul this home, I have full coverage on it, but all the rest of these rigs, I don't need it. You know, if I have an accident, it'll pay for their car, and I have to fix my own. But that's okay. So that's the answer to that question. How can you afford it? I buy collector plates, so I don't buy tabs every year. That adds up. Those things are expensive. I have to buy it on my work truck and my 2013 Dodge. But these old beaters, I buy a tag one time and that's it. Now my Impala has what's called an antique plate. It has the original plate that came on it brand new in 1963. So I don't have to buy tabs for that either. So anyway, that broad form, that's the secret to having insurance and being able to legally, because you do have to have insurance to drive on the roads in the state of Washington. So I have that. And this thing is, I just can't wait. Let's get it up in the air and get over there and take a look at things. See what's going on under there. I keep finding things that Bob had gotten done on this. He got a lot more done on it than I had realized. Well, I mean, not a lot, but several little things are put back together that were not the last time I had seen it. And that day we fired it up, that one little burst was all that it ever ran. And after that, he knew it would run, so he didn't fire it up again. He just started kind of putting it back together, and that little fuel pressure tank over there, right there on the firewall, he had that off in the last video. He was cleaning that all up, and he said he was going to run the fuel line through there, or make it look like that was in use. There's a sediment bowl, my dad called it. First time I ever saw one of those was on an old Ford 9N tractor. He called it a sediment bowl because dirt would settle in it. Sediment would settle to the bottom. And Bob apparently has run the fuel line. Of course, we just had it stuck in a can of gas that day we turned it over, and it popped off a little bit there. So I'm going to jack it up, and it appears that he's got the fuel line plumbed, but I'm going to pick this thing up and get underneath there and kind of check things out, see if that fuel line is attached, in fact, to the tank. I know he had the tank off and was cleaning it, so it's probably good. It's a cool gas tank. It's got the gauge. It's got the gauge built into the tank. You don't have a gauge on your dash. You have a gauge right on the tank. And it's just cool. So yeah, let's pick this thing up and get underneath it. There's some bolts that have to be cut off. When he lowered it, the bolts are really long on the leaf spring where it bolts to the axle. So I'm going to take care of that, but I'm not going to do a lot to this thing. I want to make it run and go down the road, and put the windows in it. Chevaholic said, why don't you put some studded tires on it and drive it this winter? Well, let's see if it's a posi first of all. And I've got all the windows. I could put the glass in there and put a heater in it, and probably do just that. Probably drive it some this winter. Wouldn't that be a hoot? Anyway, let's see. Oh, I know what I was going to say. I'm not going to do a lot to it. I'm going to get rid of that orange paint probably. And Bob was talking about putting some kind of vinyl top on it, but somebody did a real hack job there, but it's kind of growing on me. One thing I want to do is, of course, wheels and tires. I'm going to scrounge up some money for wheels and tires. I wouldn't mind spending a little bit of money on the wheels and tires, but you got to get the stance right. I want this thing to have the right stance, and I want to get a pretty big wide tire for the back probably. And I wish the body set a little bit lower on the frame, and we could make that happen. I think it'd look better if that wheel well was filled up a little bit, but not by a bigger tire, but by lowering it down around the tire. Anyway, I'm just kind of rambling here, but I'm falling. I feel weak in the knees, man. I'm getting weak. I'm getting Twitter-pated. I'm starting to fall in love. I can feel myself fall in love with this car. But that don't mean I'll keep it. I don't know. You know me. I got all kinds of rigs out there that I don't need, but this thing is cool. It really is. Wooden steering wheel, beautiful steering wheel. But we'll get into all that later. I'll give you a tour. Right now, I want to pick it up in the air and see kind of what's going on with the transmission, and as far as what kind of shifter setup we might be able to do and all that, and cut those bolts down, and I'll let you have a look under there when I get it up in the air. We'll be able to look at it, you and I, at the same time, because I haven't seen under it. I don't know what's going on, so let's investigate. Ain't this pretty? I've been gone for a couple days, and Sparky's just driving me nuts. He won't shut up. You're killing me, Sparks. Take a break, man. I've stirred your food. I know I have to come stir your food, and that makes you happy. So just settle down. Okay, I'll show you those bolts that I was talking about that have to come off. we're going to eliminate those. They're hanging a wee bit low, don't you think? Yeah, those are coming off. Bob would put some lowering blocks in there, and it's still not quite low enough, but I'm going to leave it alone for right now. What was I going to show you? So, oh, this thing's got disc brakes on the front. Imagine that. This is supposed to be a 54 Chevrolet pickup front axle. And man, look at all those leaves. Anyway, it's been converted. Somebody has put some calipers on there. That's a good deal. That's an excellent deal. I'm not sure about this steering box. We got it leaking a little bit, and that's the original box, and I don't know. We'll have to look into that. But I'm gonna get busy and cut those bolts off. And oh, I know what I was supposed to be doing was checking out the fuel line, see if it's attached to the tank. And you know, so far it looks as though it is. And I know he had this tank off, so and cleaned it. But I'm gonna pull that plug. It's dry. I'm gonna pull that plug and just see what it looks like in there. All right, you guys go ahead and take a break, and I'll just press on. Come on. (1:20 in the a.m., 1:20 in the morning. And I'm about to go searching for a starter.